Welcome. And today we'll dive into the stories and reactions to the post from the Quarantinian, titled, Mother of Bride Forgets It Isn't Her Wedding. Hi, this is Derek. I just put the Drama Llama, Fred, back in his pen so that I can do this quick video for you with some of the stuff that Fred found on Reddit earlier today. Oh boy, let's get ready for some stories. The Quarantinian posted, as a kid, I would often be working at my dad's workplace. He was an off-premise caterer and an event planner, and would often be hired to put together lavish wedding parties. Huge feasts, cheese and fruit tables 40 feet long, lots of wine, sometimes multiple pigs for both an afternoon and an evening roast. Lots of fancy people wanting fancy parties, paying a ton of money and expecting the world to revolve around them. One event in particular stood out because when the bride-to-be and her mother came in to go over details, they had some rather heated disagreements over some really stupid crap. My dad would just sit there quietly, not taking sides, and patiently wait for people to work out the differences, but one argument came to an interesting and final conclusion. The mother of the bride was arguing about the specific shade the decorative ribbons and icing trim on the cake should be. Up until that point, she had proven herself incapable of letting her daughter have the final say in anything, from the menu to the plate garnishes. To the time the meal was to start, the mother was insisting that she have her way on everything. The daughter was gritting her teeth and just grinding through it. But when her mother started to fuss about the exact shade of off-light green, no that's too light, no that's too dark, the bride snapped. She loudly and firmly stated, Mother, if you don't knock it off right this instant, I am going to disinvite you from the wedding. This is my day, and while I value your input, the decisions will be mine. She then turned to my dad, looked him squarely in the eyes and said, I will be signing your check, you work for me. Nothing is decided until I say so. If my mother tries to plan or change anything, you are to call me immediately. I do not expect you will have any problems with that. My dad simply said not at all, and they got back to planning the wedding. What are your thoughts on the Quarantinian story? Please share in the comments below. Now let's go on to hear how some Reddit members reacted to this story. Someone Love Me Please reacted with, yes, I must take over the most important day for my daughter against her will, yes. Our D. McMains 2 followed up with, of course she has to. Don't you understand, the daughter wouldn't be there without her. The only reason her daughter and him are even there are to make her look good. Kali Mom 4 chimed in with, I actually read a story from a woman in an article about insane mothers, in-laws and weddings. That was unthinkable to me. Her mom wore what was obviously a white wedding dress to the wedding, as her mother of the bride attire. I am a mom to a female child, and I would rather stick a pencil in my eye before ruining my daughter's special day. Always Murphy's Law chimed in with, on the flip side of this, I can't imagine doing this to my son's future wife, she's non-existent right now. If and when my son gets married, I would be mortified wearing a white wedding dress. I mean, ew. Would people think I was trying to replace the bride? I'm cringing right now just thinking about it. Yorandos FU1 chimed in with, there has been at least one story where a friend of the bride intentionally drove white-clad mama in a fancy car to somewhere miles away from the wedding. Sorry not sorry, ma. Anonymous 145 added with, who wears a white dress other than the bride to a wedding? Some people I just don't get, and thank you for not pulling this stuff on your daughter. I just really hope when I marry someone my mom doesn't. Nervous Astronaut 6837 followed up with, this is giving me flashbacks. If I ever get married again, my mom will get an invitation and that's it. I had to learn this lesson the hard way. Katniss 7 chimed in with my stepmom, it was all her way. Granted, she made the dress, hat, veil, flower girls' dresses, decorated the cake and made the satin corsages and boutonnieres. The woman has amazing crafting abilities, the dresses were gorgeous, the cake was beautiful, albeit still a little frozen. She had another wedding cake to decorate for that same weekend. But I didn't get a lot of choices on my own. I also felt more pressure to not change my mind, otherwise I would have been a runaway bride. EO ASAP reacted with, I was wondering who was paying for it. It's pretty clear cut if the daughters are paying for it. Good for her for standing up for herself. I don't understand people like the mom. Don't they remember how stressful her wedding day was? Even if all goes according to plan, which rarely does. It's enormously stressful and she should be helping relieve that stress on her daughter, not add to it. Sure, tell me what your vision is and I'll do my best to make it happen. It's your day and I want to help make it as perfect as it can be. Even if the daughter makes some god-awful choice, who cares? It's something she'll laugh at later. What the heck was I thinking catering this, or why the heck did I go with those colors? My wife and I paid for most of our wedding, not much, maybe $5,000, and my mom and sister donated either $1,000 to $2,000. And stayed out of the decision-making process but helped with all the going to wedding shows, making centerpieces, etc. On the day of the wedding my wife's mother pulled the same crap, bossing everyone around. Including my mom and sister. It's my daughter's wedding today. Things are going to be how I say they are. Keep in mind she didn't put one penny towards the wedding or help out in any way. She just wanted to be the mother of the bride and boss everyone around. I actually got pissed off at her and yelled at her, which I regret. It was very stressful, but I shouldn't have risked upsetting my newlywed wife. Whether or not her mother deserved it or not. It was exactly the moment I realized when you marry someone, you marry their entire family. That's the one thing I'd strongly point out to anyone getting married. When $3,000 disappears to her father so he can pay for his stepdaughters to go to college. Or $1,000 goes to her mother to buy a mobile home. That wouldn't have bothered me, but we paid for it, and over the years it was always ops bill paid for my home. I'm so grateful for him doing that. No. I paid for your home. He was dropping out of college and didn't have a dime to his name when you got that house. Our rugger followed up with, I don't care who is paying for it. My couples are my clients. If their parents are paying for it, they have to give the money to my clients and the clients pay me. I don't let parents sign contracts either. Only the couple to be married. I allow them one authorized decision maker, but that is usually reserved for the spouse to be. It's the easiest and best way to assure you keep controlling parents at bay. Irish Eyes 7 chimed in with, this is such a great way to set expectations from the beginning. I'm sure you've lost some business to this policy over the years. But I bet you gained much more of it in referrals from grateful couples. Miserable Lemon chimed in with, wow, that's a great way to see it. How do you deal with parents trying to take over? Like, say, someone clearly bullying her daughter into choosing what she wants, or say, parents coming to you or calling on their own to change things. In Relictorium followed up with, I imagine that often such parents act that way because of their own wedding experiences. Their own wedding may not have been the magical best day ever they had hoped for. It's gnawed at them for decades, and once their child is getting married, it's a way for them to relive that time in their life and make the perfect wedding that they wish they could have had. Mess09 chimed in with, this is why I always tell people to only accept help paying for a wedding as an unconditional gift, and get the money up front. If your parents need to go into credit card debt to pay for your wedding, you're overspending. Don't spend money you don't have in hand for a fancy party that no one will care about in a few months. If wedding payments come with strings attached, just say no unless you truly don't care. Spend the most money on a good photographer. They will make your memories of the day incredible, even if all you can afford is an empty backyard and family potluck dinner. Oh look, Shiny Things 88 chimed in with, dude, why didn't you set her straight? I would have asked for my money to be repaid if they didn't acknowledge my contribution. Squirrelfoot reacted with, hats off to that courageous bride. There is only so much poop an adult child should take. As they say, he who pays the piper calls the tune. K1R of Reporting reacted with, so this woman, who wasn't contributing anything financially or otherwise to her daughter's wedding, wanted total control over all of it. F that. I would have said the exact same thing the daughter did. With maybe a bit more colorful language added. Lol. Kalimom4 followed up with, same here. Colorful is my forte and my major flaw. In all honesty, I have the vocabulary of a drunken sailor. And am not afraid to bring it out when needed. Virtual not virtuous reacted with. My mother cannot understand that I don't want a destination wedding spanning multiple days. And hundreds of thousands of dollars, my dad's paying, and we're not that rich. I'm autistic and it seems like my literal definition of hell. I don't want a wedding at all, let alone days. And we're in our early 20s and super busy, and none of our friends could come, and I hate the darn beach. I'm planning our wedding with my fiancé and his family who are really understanding of my hatred of weddings. He really wants one, so we're compromising, and my mom showed up to the engagement. And then the engagement party going. So I think Aruba. No mom in New Jersey. But I want it to be in Aruba. So get married then. Colleen RW followed up with. I hope you actually told your mom so get married then. Honestly, she wants to go to Aruba so bad, she should just go on vacation. Virtual not virtuous replied with. I did say that. But she wants me and my dad, they divorced a few years back, to foot the bill. And a party to keep her company. And it'll be so much fun. Kali Mom 4 responded with. That is my idea of literal hell, or such fun. I can get a trip to Aruba for free, on my ex's dime. And hang out day and night, over and over, with my newlywed daughter and her husband. Christ, you were wanting a destination wedding, don't tell her where. Technomage 1 reacted with. At that point the bride also needs a password with all her wedding related businesses, dress, venue, etc. You don't put it past the momzilla to call and try to pass herself off as the daughter to get her way. Renaissance Slacker followed up with. Someone I know many years ago got screwed in a business deal. Later he found his ex-partner had divorced his wife after a long affair and was marrying his girlfriend. About a month before the wedding my friend called and canceled the church, reception hall, and caterer on a pretext. By the time the lovely couple realized what had happened, they'd lost everything to other bookings. So definitely passwords. The One Bonesaw reacted with. My wife and I were older, so we didn't have this issue. But, while talking to our DJs and telling them that, other than a few personal songs, we were leaving it up to them. Upon being relieved to hear that, they started telling us the horror stories. The biggest was the pushy mothers who demanded classical music be played. The reception is supposed to be a party, and nothing kills the party vibe faster than classical music. They said at one of these, more than half the guests left after finishing the meal. I know I would have. Werewolf 56 reacted with. My mom tried to get my siblings to elope. She offered them cash. They didn't elope. Wish It Would Rain House reacted with. Oh, I've seen weddings go atomic. Like, it's goddamn lucky any of the brides, grooms, associated wedding party victims and various parentage made out alive and or sane. Small strokes, heart attacks and familial violence aside. Glad I didn't participate in the nutso tradition myself. And cost. Come on, buy a house or car or boat or help people less fortunate. Insane. Lil Devil reacted with. Oof. This hits home. When my husband and I were getting married, I found out that yes, my mother can be and sometimes is, an entitled mother. One moment of wedding planning sticks out to me so much. We were going to where the event was going to be held. It was beautiful. The place was big enough to host not only the wedding itself but the reception as well. My mother had suggested it when both me and my husband decided not to get married at a church. They even had a photographer and florist, and someone to do the wedding cake. When me and my mother were going to finalize some plans for the wedding and we went to the florist. The florist was asking a few questions, and I was starting to get a bit overwhelmed, and I did the stupid mistake. I turned to my mother to ask her for her input on the colors, purple and blue, for the bouquet. Why was this a mistake, you might ask? Because as soon as I did that, my mother took that as a sign that it was her wedding to be planning. I wish I was joking. It got so bad that both me and my husband had to remind my mother that it was our wedding, not her wedding. Luckily it all smoothed over, but my God. That was so stressful. It was supposed to be my wedding, but my mother basically took the reins and said, Nope, I'm driving, until I took them back. She still has no problem being a backseat driver, but at least now that I'm out of the house and living on my own. My mother finally sees me as an adult and not as a high schooler. Pull. My finger for fun reacted with. I can only assume this particular moment was a defining one, changing the relationship between mother and daughter forever. Copperfield 12 reacted with. She is the most demanding biatch I have ever heard. And finally, Heather02265 reacted with. If I ever deal with wedding stuff, everything would be password protected just to be safe. Well, there you have it. A perfectly great set of reactions from a bunch of upstanding citizens. Help support this channel by smashing the like and subscribe buttons. And hit that silly little bell as well to ensure you get the latest videos as they come out. Fred is always finding stuff for me to post regularly. So this is Derek signing off. Thanks for watching. Good grief, it sounds like Fred is out of his pen again. He must have found more stories for me to share with you. See you soon.